if so, who were the two pastors?
Yes, there were 5 total resumes that were submitted by the Ministerial Council. President James, Reverend Seawright, Elder Willis Walker, Reverend Patricia Alston, and Reverend Charles Searcy. Reverend Alston and Reverend Searcy applications were accepted, and they were placed on the board at that time.
And again, it was said we weren't advised as to why those 2 were chosen over the other.
For example, we thought that it would be ideal if President James would have been chosen, due to the fact that at that point in time she was the voice of the Ministerial Council, which was the leadership, quote unquote, of the African American contingency here in Niagara Falls. That name was rejected. We thought then, well, if not Reverend James, we thought maybe that Reverend Seawright, who was operating a great program with the Boys Reporting Center at New Jerusalem, would be chosen due to the successfulness of that program, and that name was rejected. And then we figured, well, if they reject those 2 names, then Willis Walker, Elder Willis Walker, who worked for the community center for 6 years as a program director, surely they would have to accept his name, and they rejected his name. The only 2 people that had no experience and no interaction in the center itself was Reverend Searcy and Reverend Alston, and those were the 2 that they chose. Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
My name is Sam Fullion. I live at 21 Hyde Park Boulevard here in the city. I'm just asking the question on who were they? Who did the Ministerial Council meet with that constitutes the they, that determined how many people sit on the board and made the selection and the choices? And the second part of the question would be, are any of those board members here today?
I'm not sure. Is there any representative from, okay, Mr. Colangelo is here, okay. At that meeting, at the first meeting that we had, we were told that there were 5 vacancies on the board, okay? At that meeting, as Pastor Jackson has already stated, we asked, could we submit names to put people on that board? The people that were at that meeting, I believe, were Shirley Hamilton, Legislator Kimball, and I believe there was one other person from the board at that meeting. When I asked the question, how do we put someone on the board, I was told that we don't have control of the board. The board has full control of the board. And we did not have the authority nor the power to put anyone on that board. And I said, well, then can we get a copy of your standing bylaws so that we could be in order in putting someone on the board? And they said yes. And as you saw on the slide, as of today, we still have not received a copy of those bylaws. I got you next. Then what happened when we had the next meeting, all right, Mr. Colangelo was present at that meeting, along with several other members of the board, because 3 of those seats had been filled, and I believe that Mr. Colangelo at that time was presented as the vice president of the board, and I'm assuming that was by appointment.
Well, no, it was my application, it was my resume.
Okay.
2.5 years after this agency closed, he came to me, asked me to join the board.
Could you stand up for everyone?
Yeah. Yeah, you can stand up. 2.5 years after this agency, you asked me to speak, don't interrupt.
No, I just wanted to stand.
2.5 years after this agency closed, and every public official in this community let it close, I came on this board hoping that I could help it like I did in 2001, when this agency was teetering. I worked with Eddie to get what they call a Safe Places grant. That kept this agency open then. Something like that would help keep this agency open now. I've been doing a little bit of homework. I've heard people blame the United Way. It's not the United Way's fault. Blame the County Youth Bureau. It's not the County Youth Bureau's fault. The fault of it is funding. The agency's programs couldn't be met, and they had no choice but to pull and fund the United Way. How dare anybody blame the United Way? It wasn't their fault. How County Youth Bureau. Right now, the only alternative you have, and I've been in this game a little while, is to come together as a community, get politics out of it, get personalities out of it, and get the funding necessary. We had a state senator, and I'll say this to his face, who for years told this agency and this board that he had money coming. It was a bold-faced lie. There was no money there. There was no money there. That's why they were operating on the presumption that this agency would reopen. And if you do paperwork, if you do the trail, you'll find, and we've had help from state senators and assembly people right now trying to locate that money, no one can find that money. And that's why, and I'm not here to defend Renee Kimball or Shirley Hamilton. I'm here, I used to sit in the library with Eddie and read to kids in that facility. That facility's been part of my life for a long, long time. I was umpiring baseball games out there when they didn't know what a white guy was. Okay? I want that agency to open back up. I want to work with the white people. You have Mr. Stein here, whose intention is the same thing. Let's work together and get this agency open. Because the only ones that are suffering, Eddie's not suffering now, it's the kids.
Right.
There you go.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't be closed.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Colangelo. One of the things, and getting back to your question, one of the things was when Mr. Colangelo came, we asked him how was he appointed to that position. And like he just said to you, that's what he told us. Okay, but what we were saying is that underneath the old bylaw structure, that all members of the board must be confirmed by the membership of the community center. And you were not confirmed because there was no membership, according to the bylaws. Now, I'm just talking what the bylaws say. Okay, so due to the fact that you were appointed without confirmation of the membership of the community center, that is a null and void appointment because you must be confirmed. Would that be right, Mr. Rosano?
I've had a chance to review portions of the bylaws. I haven't had a good look at all of them, but the bylaws indicate that membership has the authority to confirm selected board members, and the membership hasn't been given that opportunity. So the board members who are sitting there are nothing more than, these are temporary, transitional, whatever name you want to give them. But in any event, those particular board members wouldn't have the kind of authority that I think the bylaws contemplate. So certainly there are things, and when asked, I was more than happy to tell you a couple of my thoughts. There are people in this room who have sat with me on a number of occasions to try and bring about the opening of the community center. And when my time comes, I'll be more than happy to share all that information.
Amen. And so just to reiterate, that was the process. Okay, we just wanted to know how do we affirm members on the board? How do we place people on the board? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to stand and say I'm really confused here. How many people serve on the board? How many numbers comprise the board?
I think there is 11 members on the board. Is it 9 or 11?
And with that thought in mind, it's like you were saying about the bylaws. We need the bylaws so we can read those and interpret what they're all about. And then, as you say, the membership, with all of us joining, members elect people to boards, whether it's school boards or whatever. The members, the community, select people to the board. And that's where we need to begin. Get this membership going, get out there, we can get strong and what have you, and elect our board of trustees for that community center and get the programming going.
All right. Yes. I have one in the back and then I'll get to you. Yes, sir.
Even Charles raised his hand even before I did.
Okay.
To answer the question about board members, the last bylaws said that there could be up to 21 members on that board. That's a lot. That's a lot
That's too
voting
many.
for. But there is that provision.
Right.
Okay.
Too many.
Councilman Walker. And then,
I just wanted to speak to the issue of Senator Thompson. Senator Thompson tried to work closely with that board of directors to get that community center open. But what he said to him, I will not go to the state for funding as long as this board is divided and not working with the community to do the right thing. So we can't throw him under the bus because he did all he could to help get the center open. But that board was not willing to do the things that needed to be done in order to be operating properly.
Thank you. And just, I have a young lady here. And just a comment behind Councilman Walker. No one from our side is saying that there was any wrongdoing from any organization that was sponsoring or supporting the community center. We know that the United Way didn't pull funding out of being malicious. We know that the other entities that were funding the center did not pull their funding because they were trying to send a message to the center, but because of administrative issues and because there was no cohesiveness with the board and the funders, they had no other choice but to pull that funding from the center. We have been adamantly working with the former Senator Thompson. I had a phone call today from Senator Grisani, and Senator Grisani told me today that whatever the ministerial council and the community decides to do, we have his full support. Other entities have come forward and said that they would support the community center. We just have to get our ducks in a row and we can open the center back up. All right, I got you, sir. I have this young lady here, and then I have the gentleman in the back, and then you. And I'm gonna cut it off with my man right here, okay?
Well, you kind of answered my question. My name's Olivia Johnson. The center helped my son a lot. My son graduated from college due to the center because they had the camps, they had the after-school program. I worked every day. I worked since I was 13 years old. The center helped him with his homework. He come home after he complete, he getting 100. He's working on his master's right now. I have a 13-year-old now though. This generation now right here, we need help. We need help right now. What she was saying, and what do we need to do? If I gotta stay on the corner in the cold to get some memberships, that's what I do. And that's what we gotta do in the community. That's all I want to do. What we need to do to get this going. Because if I can go around and get donations, whatever we gotta do, that's what we're gonna do. I got to help, we got to help these kids. This generation different. It's hard for you now. It's hard. I'm telling you now.
All right. All right. Gentleman in the back, then you, and then this gentleman.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Vince Sandow. I'm a county legislator. Most of you probably don't know me. But I am here on behalf of Senator Mark Grisanti, and I'm joined by Assemblyman Soretto. Just to point a couple things out, to test what Mr. Colangelo said, there was absolutely no paperwork for that money. We did the research. We did the research on it. We tried to go to the dormitory funds and everything like that. Not a paper trail. Not to throw anyone under the bus, but just to set that record straight. There was absolutely no paper trail to that. We're not here to talk about that. No. That's not why.
Hold on. We need to keep order. Let's keep order. Let him finish his thought, Councilman. All right, we'll give you a chance to rebut. But I want to get this. I want to hear what he has to say, because after this, our thing is, we don't care if there is no money there. There was no money there. We moving forward. We want the money now. So, Senator Grisani has given us a verbal support. All right, we know that your office is working diligently to get the center reopened because we need your help. Okay.
That's why I'm here tonight.
Right.
I'm here to tell you we are all on board. It's on our radar. I've worked closely with Mr. Hamilton, Reverend Thomas. We're here to help. And the one thing I would say is 100 voices is loud. One voice united is much, much louder.
That's right.
And that's all I can say about it. Nothing is more important than a community. A community is literally a family, and that family builds and grows. And like you said, man, there's this generation, my generation, I'm 25 years old. You know, we have a lot at stake, and a community center like this is absolutely essential to how my generation and the future generations build and grow and become contributing members of the future generation. So on behalf of Senator Grisanti, we are here to help, and I thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
No, believe me, I want to thank all of you for having me here tonight. I'm John Soretto. I'm your new assemblyman. You know, in my position, I have 4 children of myself, you know, of my own. And the bottom line is children, in my heart, I always put children first. And that's what I'm hearing over and over and over. And I counties. Like you said, the past is the past. Unfortunately, those files are gone, but let's move forward, and I'm here to work with everybody, okay?
Thank you, sir. All right. The gentleman with the hat on, and then the gentleman behind Pastor Dobbs, and we're going to move on.
Hello, my name is Colonel Birch, and I'm born and raised in this city. Been here my whole life. I used to go to the center when Mr. Tab was there, and I'm pretty sure we've exhausted his patience, and he kicked us out. And that's not kicked out, and I'm using that word loosely, you know, because I've never felt rejected or couldn't go back to the center. You know, here I am standing here today. I have a master's degree in executive leadership. You know, my concentration is nonprofit organization. Any nonprofit organization is only as strong as its board. You know, this isn't about the board. You know, this is about opportunities. If you look at the city of Niagara Falls, what demographics don't have those same opportunities as other sections of the city? This is about opportunities. It's about having access, and that's what that center is. So it's not about the board. It's not about membership. It's about providing people opportunities. And it's people are blaming the board. People are blaming this person. People are blaming this. It's not about that. It's about providing opportunities. You know, I didn't know why the center was closed. I'm glad this gentleman mentioned that. It's because of funding. That's just the way the United Way works. When they want to get the results, you have to be able to meet those results.
Right, but speaking to that, the reason why you have a board in place is to make sure that you're getting the results in order to keep the funding.
Absolute governance, and you are only. That's why I stand by my statement. You are only as strong as your board.
Right.
You know, the board. You have to ask the board. I would like to ask the board. First of all, are you meeting regularly? Do you know what the needs are? What is your vision, not for today, but for tomorrow, for that center? Those questions are not being asked, and I think that's why you're getting so much red tape with trying to get information from the board. I believe that the board don't know what they want to do.
Well,
one second. What is it going to cost them? What is the condition of the building? What programs are going to be there? In Niagara Falls, you got over 50% of the residents here on some type of public assistance, government, federal, some type of assistance. So there's a need here for programs and services, but I don't think the board is really connected on what that is. Not too more just the board, but do we know as community members? So that's my position.
Right.
So it's not just about today. What about tomorrow, the next day, the day after that? Where do our kids go? Are we giving them opportunities? We have to give them opportunities, and opportunities is where that center is. So it's not just about reopening it. We use that word too loosely. No, let's provide opportunities.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. And again, we agree with you 100%. All we are saying is that these questions have been asked. These questions have been presented to no avail. And so now we are at a point where we're saying, what does the community want done? Is where we are as the people that the community comes to and says, give us guidance, give us leadership. What do you want done? Pastor Dobbs, there's a gentleman behind you, and then you, and then Pastor Dobbs will have the last word as far as this goes, because we have some more other presenters. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Will Rogers, and as I look around the room, it looks like that my bracket is not in here. I'm 24 years old, class of 2005, Niagara Falls High School. It doesn't look like anybody that I know from 2005 is in here, but I know people from that class went to that building. I know that they were involved in the things that went on in that building, and it's a shame that that building is closed, but it is a good thing that everybody's here trying to get that building open. And on behalf of my brothers, 24 and younger, class of 2005, we'd like to bid you, the current president of the Niagara Ministerial Council, we'd like to say good luck, because you're going to need it.
I'm putting my hope in something a little bit more stronger than luck. I appreciate that, bro. Pastor Dobbs.
I'm Pastor Dobbs from Niagara Falls, New York. I was a member of the center when I was 9 years old, back in the day. And I just want to say that that's the thing that we should pursue. Whatever it is that we have to do, we do that. I think the sentiments have been heard from everybody, and we know we want it open, so I think the bottom line is let's open it. Let's just open it, do what we have to do.
All right, thank you. Thank you for being so patient. At this time, we're going to call our moderator back, Pastor Kelly, and let him proceed on. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask us after the program tonight, okay?
We're going to move along as expeditiously as we possibly can. Actually, at this point, I'm going to ask the president of our local branch of the NAACP, Mr. William Bill Bradbury, to come, and he's going to moderate the remainder of the program. We hope to get you out in about 20 minutes. God bless.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Okay, I think we pretty much decided that we want to get the community center open, right?
Right.
Okay, I've done a little bit of research on this, and I'm going to say that anybody in this room who's under the age of 82, for those of you under the age of 82, the community center has always been here because it originally got started back in 1929. All right, back in 1929. They started meeting in 1928. If you don't appreciate the history of what it took to make this happen, you won't appreciate the work that it's going to take to get to the next step. Now, I'm retired, so I don't have a lot of money. But I did dig into my retirement account and come up with a couple dollars. Paid to have these brief histories of the Niagara Community Center made. And I'm going to ask you a little bit of help to get them passed out. I'm also going to help those of you who can help subsidize that $50 it costs to do that. Now, the important thing about the history of the community center is that, among other things, first of all, you heard reference to Erie Avenue. How many of you remember Erie Avenue? Okay, some of you. When they first started the community center, it was built on Erie Avenue, which was the most commercially prosperous strip that African Americans have ever seen, aside from Highland Avenue in today's world. Erie Avenue included places like the home. It was a tourist home that was run by Charlotte Dett. Charlotte Dett was the mother of R. Nathaniel Dett. Have you ever heard that name? Yeah. R. Nathaniel Dett. You know that R. Nathaniel Dett was a famous spiritual gospel music composer. They worked very hard to try to put this thing together. I want you to take this thing home and read it so that you understand where we are historically. One of the main reasons the community center became effective was because it dealt with present day issues. Back in those days, many of your parents and grandparents didn't have good choices in terms of places to live. The community center got very involved with trying to break the housing discrimination patterns that Niagara Falls had to deal with at the time. And by 1949, after they had raised about $120,000, and back in 1949, that was a lot of money. It's a lot of money today. But in 1949 terms, that was a ton of money. But they raised the money through a city-sponsored organization called the Community Chest. And with the help of the Niagara Falls Housing Authority, which had just recently completed the construction of Center Court, the Housing Authority turned over to the community center 5 lots. 5 lots, and that's the land upon which the community center stands today. It was done with the help of the Housing Authority. It was represented here tonight by the executive director of the Housing Authority. I'm so glad to see you here, Stephanie Collard. If y'all just appreciate Stephanie. So here we are today, with the community center having been closed for going on 3 years, thanks to the hard work of a lot of people like Mr. Art Ray and the Deacons Fellowship, who actually paid the money to have the water shut off deliberately so the pipes wouldn't burst during the winter. They did a good thing. And then during the summer and spring seasons, they dug into their pockets to raise the money to keep the grass cut, and keep the trees trimmed so it didn't look so bad. Now that Hope 6 is about ready to open up, that beautiful community center, which once was the shining, gleaming symbol of success in our community, is starting to look a little raggedy in the midst of all those beautiful new buildings. So here we have a situation 82 years later where all